welcome on this YouTube channel. So today we are going to continue with tutorial number 6 of our training in C programming language. So the aim of this tutorial is to practice on a small exercise that covers all what we did since video number 1. Okay, so the aim of this program is just to write a simple code that will collect two numbers from a user, calculate the sum of those numbers, and display the result. So we are going to do live coding so that you see how you yourself you can sit and write this type of program without any problem or without looking somewhere. Good. So I'm going to start. Remember that everything is inside my PDF note, and the note is available on the platform for free. So this is my dev C++. Okay, so remember that the first thing is to create a new file. So you go to File, New, Source File. Good. Okay, so we are going to start. So remember, what did I say the last time? That the best way, or you need to have good practice when you're writing your program. So generally, after creating your file, the first thing is to save that file. So you click on File, Save As. Good. Save As is because you want to give the name. In reality, save as you want to create the file. Let me say it like that. Good. So let me just call it sum of number. Good. The next thing is save as type. You go to save as type, you choose C source file. Never forget this, please. Good. So after this, you click on. Now the next thing is I've given the name, but where are you saving it? Remember that we are saving it on our folder that we created on the desktop. So this is my desktop here. I'm already in, but let me just do it back. Desktop. Remember that folder was C programming. I click on C programming and make sure C programming is written up here. This is the only thing, in fact, that you can look to be sure that you are inside your folder. Like here, you are seeing that this is the file we created the last time. Good. So I'm going to click on Save. Perfect. So line number 1 is preprocessor directive. And the preprocessor directive that you'll be using here is hashtag include. Hashtag include. You open this. You can leave space. There's no problem, because some students, they have problem with this thing of space. I can leave space before opening this, so it depends on me. Hashtag include stgio.h. Good. So you know very well the use of this preprocessor. So this is helping us to use what input and output function. And since I'm writing a code where I'm collecting numbers from user, calculating the sum, then display the result. So just to collect input from user, I need my input function. To display, I need an output function. So you see that you ask yourself this type of question before writing your code, so that when you are writing something, you know exactly what you are doing. Good. So after this, we are writing everything in the main program. So the door for the compiler. So in main. Now, what did I say the last time? That when you write in main, open your braces and close it directly. Direct, you see. Good. And now at the bottom here, you write your return 0. So the instruction, in fact, to keep the code full stop before you start writing the code. So start with the basic structure, then you move your cursor now here. So now the first thing is I'm going to declare my different variable, and for you to know the different variable that you need in your program is very easy. Like here, it's very clear that I need two integers from the user. So I need maybe a variable called a for the first integer, a variable called b for the second integer. But what happened is, after calculating the sum, the next thing is you must store that result in another variable. So I can have another variable maybe called sum, where I'm going to store the result of my addition. So it's exactly that. Good. Because remember that when you are doing display is just taking the content of sum and displaying. Perfect. So generally, this is how you do to obtain your different variable. And there's one thing I want you to note: in programming, it's not as if at the beginning you must know all the different variables that you need in your program. No. What you can think about, use them first. Now, as you are writing your code, if you need more variables, you just come and add them. Good. Now here, let me just assume that you are doing integer addition. So the variable are of type in. So in a, comma, b, comma, sum. Good. Now here, this is one way of doing it. Another student can decide to declare on each line like this: in b, semicolon, and so on and so forth. But I'm not using this method simply because my different variables are of the same data type. So generally, when they're of the same data type, you can just put comma, and you declare all their different variables. And the question is, what's the data type of sum? Sum also is in, is very clear, because if a and b are in, It's as if you are adding two integers number. The result must be an integer number. That is why the variable sum that will store the result is an integer. Now the first thing I want to mention here is when you are doing something like that, what are you doing in reality in the computer? So let me show you what is happening in the computer. In the computer, what you are doing is, this is your memory here. This is your memory here with different locations. So remember what I've said the last time? Good. So that declaration simply means in the memory you are reserving space. So we are reserved space for A, for B, and we are reserved space for sum. So this is what that line is doing. So this is an empty space here that we are. So this is an empty space here that we have reserved. This is another empty space. This is another empty space, and we are going to fill it later. So now continuation. After declaring your variable, meaning after reserving space in your memory, the next step now is to fill this memory location. Good. So now, how to fill it? The first thing is to fill A and B. And A and B are the values, in fact, we are collecting from the user. Good. Now, before collecting this value from the user, normally the function used is scanf. But you cannot just say scanf like that. No. You need, in fact, a printf. And in that printf, first, you write the message that the user will read in order to know what he's supposed to enter. Because if you just use scanf, when you execute your code, you see a black screen with a cursor there asking, waiting, in fact, that the user should press something on the keyboard. But if the user is not reading any message to know what he's supposed to press on the keyboard, it's a problem. I hope you are clear then. That is why I'm always starting with my printf. And inside my printf, I can write something like enter to number. Good. I put my /n for the next line. You know this already. Good. After that, I put semicolon. Now, the next thing here is, okay, it's true that in the previous video, I've not yet discussed about /n. So, after this video, the next part is to discuss about what is /n bed. In simple words, /n is just used to indicate the end of line. Meaning that when I'm putting /n at this level, it simply means that there's no text that will follow enter to number. Meaning after this text, anything that follow will go to the next line automatically. Go that the use of this. We are going to study the different type that exists, so don't worry. So after doing that, you can now do your scanf. Good. Remember the structure of a scanf. In double quote, you put your format specifier, %G. But look at something here at this level. Here, I'm trying to collect two integers at the same time. So I'm going to put %G twice like this. Good. So note that very well. There's no comma between them. No space. Just write %G. After that, you go out of your double quote. You put your comma. You put your symbol of ampersand. Good. So this A here, you put your variable, comma. You put again the second time for the second variable. So in this same order. So remember that putting this symbol is to indicate what? The address of the location. In such a way that when the user will enter something, that value should move directly to that location. So I remember that I've explained that. Good. Meaning what? At this level, what we did is, if I move back at this code, good. So now inside our scanf, I'm indicating, what is that? Okay. I'm indicating the address of this location A, so that when the user will enter something, that thing should enter inside this memory. The same thing, address of B. So this is exactly how things work. So never forget that, please. So after doing that, I'm going to put semicolon. Now, the next thing or the next best practice that I'm always telling my student is, don't write your full code before testing. No, meaning that at this level, I need to test if this is working first. If this is working, I'm going to continue with the code. This is the best practice in programming, because sometimes people have funny mistakes you cannot correct simply because you are writing everything at once. This is a very, very bad way of writing your code. So take this advice very seriously. So only this part collecting to input, let me verify if everything is working perfectly before going to the next step, because normally after having the input, the next step is just to calculate the sum and you display the result. Good. So now remember that if you observe beside sum of number.c, you'll be seeing that there's an asterisk, as I was explaining. It simply means that your new modification have not been saved. So to solve this problem, you just do Control S to say you are saved. If you look again beside the sum of number.c, you'll be seeing that there's no asterisk. It means that you have saved your code. Now you go and execute. So compile and run. Perfect. You're seeing that everything is working well. And if you analyze very well, you'll be seeing that this cursor here, this cursor blinking. So I'm talking about this vertical line blinking here. You are seeing that it's appearing but on the next line after enter to number, simply because enter to number is having a /n at the end, meaning that nothing to follow after him. Good. So here now, you are seeing that when you are reading this message, the user know exactly what to enter. You see, good. So the user cannot press a character they know, because the message is saying that enter two number. That's why generally you must have a particular printf before any scanf you want to use, because the user must know exactly what to input. Good. Remember that the user in fact is the person, or how can I say it? The user in fact is just any user executing your code. He's not the programmer writing the code. Good. Now let me just take anything like 2, or let me say 3 or 2, enter. You see that when I press enter, it's asking another number, simply because in my scanf there's 2 percentage g, mean that normally I'm collecting how many variables? 2 of them. And after enter the second, now let us say I enter 4. Normally if I press enter, it's supposed to stop the code. Very good. You see, it's doing exactly what we are expecting, because it's very important to understand the behavior of your program. Good. So you are seeing that my code is working perfect, because this is all what the code is doing. Good. Now, as I was saying, when the user is pressing those numbers, what happened is those numbers are being stored directly here. Like here, the user have entered 2, so 2 is here, 3 is here for B. Good. Now, so remember that at this level, I'm always giving all the different situations. At this level, someone can decide to write word like this 2 instructions. Someone can change it into 4 instructions by saying that, okay, let me just copy and paste to avoid wasting time. Someone can decide to say that, okay, enter the first number. Good. In this case now, here the person will use just 1 percentage G, and here the person is just collecting maybe A. Are you seeing that? Good. After, if I copy this same line and I double it like this, now the person here say enter the second number and change this now to what? To B. Good. So this is another way of doing it, but generally it's wasting time to just write 4 lines of code to collect 2 variables. So better join them like this. Very important. So see it very well, please. So it's the same thing. Now let me remove this. The next thing is, after having your 2 number, the next thing is what? To calculate the sum. So you say sum equals to, remember that this is just a variable. So if you want to remove this sum, you put result. It's your problem. Good, but make sure that what you are putting here is the same thing that you're using down here. So sum equals to a plus B. You end with a semicolon because this is an instruction. So after doing this, you have calculated sum. Like in this our case, just this line, by the time you execute, the compiler will fill it. Like here, 2 plus 5 is what? Or 2 plus 3 is 5. Good. But you are seeing that this file is just stored in the memory. We need to display it for the user to see it. In fact, how are you going to display? So I'm going to say printf. You open the double quote, you just write something like this. Sum is what? Now you are seeing that the sum is what follows here. Normally it's supposed to be the result of this sum, but the result of this sum is inside a variable. And in the previous video, we saw how to display something, or you saw how to display a value coming from the variable. So remember that here, when something is coming from the variable, you write by the format specifier. Now the format specifier, since what is coming from the memory is an integer, so the format specifier here is percentage G. After that, you go out of your double quote, you put comma, and you give the name of that variable. Good. Here you are no more giving the address, because we are printing something from the memory, you see. So you are already in the memory, you don't need the address because you are already in, you are going out. That's why printf is not taking this symbol of ampersand here. Good. So after doing that, you just put your semicolon. I can now decide to remove this space here, or you leave it, there's no problem. Control S, you save, then you execute your code again. Now let us enter 2 number. Let me just enter 2 and 4. Normally I'm supposed to have something like the sum is 6. The sum is 6. Perfect. So you are seeing that you are writing such code and you are understanding exactly what you are doing. No confusion, no mistake. Very important. So I think it's all about this code. If you have any question, the comment section is there. And if you have enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a comment. Thank you, and share it to those it can help. Nice.